Hey, welcome back to another video. I'm really excited to get into this one for the content, but also because I have this brand new microphone. So hopefully it sounds okay. Hopefully it sounds a little bit better than previous episodes. But excited to use the new equipment. So in this video, if you are a practice owner looking for a new way to find clients, using content on Instagram, YouTube, blog, etc., but you don't know where to start, this is the video for you. And in this video, we're primarily focusing on Instagram, but a lot of the main foundational concepts can be transferred to other platforms. And we can always create other content for the other platforms at a later date. So the number one worry that I hear from practice owners is that they don't know how to find clients. And oftentimes it prevents them from investing in their business. It prevents them from actually getting started because they're so worried about where the patients are going to come from. And if that sounds like you're not alone. A lot of us start there and eventually figure out that it is definitely possible to do. So today we are going to be talking about how to start using content to find patients and how to continuously improve your game when it comes to content marketing so that you can feel confident in having a marketing plan and a strategy that's going to consistently continue to work for your business over the long run and help you find the clients that you have been dreaming of. So if we haven't met before, or if this is your first time on the channel or listening to the podcast, my name is Morgan and I'm a physical therapist who has worked for myself since 2019. I started my own practice working with clients out of my CrossFit gym. I have since worked with clients online. I've done mobile services and I currently work with clients out of my garage gym as well. I help other physical therapists and other healthcare providers just like you and just like me learn how to see their own private clients work for themselves full time, and leave clinic life behind. So if you are wanting to start or grow your practice and need help, definitely check out the different services that we have at morganmeese.com, and you'll be able to find some links for things down in the description below. We have spots available for business coaching through the DPT to CEO program, and might also have availability for marketing coaching as well. If you are a practice owner who has been operating for a year or two and feeling like you're just kind of struggling with the marketing piece, please reach out, please schedule a consultation with me, and I'm happy to help you kind of troubleshoot and figure out, if maybe some coaching would be helpful for you. And we do also take on a few clients per year to offer done for you content marketing services. So as we're getting into this video, if you're like, this sounds great, but I don't want to do it myself, please also reach out and schedule a consult with me, and I can tell you a little bit more about how we do other practices content for them if that's something that you're interested in. So let's get into the content of this video. So we want to use Instagram in order to help build our caseload and grow our practice. So I really want to spend some time with the upcoming videos here on the channel, walking you through what I would do if I were to go back to the beginning and create a marketing plan for myself, for my practice, and just do it all over again, and what I would implement specifically with a lot of content. If this is something that you're interested in, definitely hit the subscribe button down below and like this video to let me know that you want to see more of this stuff, because I really just want to share all this information about if I were to do it for myself all over again. Here's all the pro tips that I've learned over the past few years. So getting into this, step number one, using Instagram to grow your business. The first thing that we're going to have to talk about is niche. And I'm sure you've heard that 100 million times, probably even just here from me in these episodes, but it's super, super important. And I'm sure in order to find our golden niche, as I've like to call it, we need to figure out what kind of group of people, what types of patients we want to help, and what types of problems we want to help them with. This can take some time to sort of figure out, it takes some soul searching, a little bit of market research to see what people are interested in out there. And it probably took me about 6 months from when I first started the idea of going into business for myself to really figure out who I wanted to work with, but once I did, I really got it nailed down. It has allowed me to be a lot more specific with my marketing messaging and figuring out what tools to use, what content to make. And it's made the whole like situation of marketing, the whole process of marketing 1,000 times easier when you know who it is you're trying to talk to and what problems you're trying to help them with. It's something that a lot of us really struggle with at the beginning because, we're trained as clinicians to be able to help a lot of different people with a lot of different things. And while we can help a lot of people, it just ends up creating a really like muddled marketing message. And it makes it really hard for people to connect with you and to relate with you and figure out if you're really the right professional to help them. Even though it can be difficult at the beginning, it's going to help you succeed in the long term with your marketing. So, here's my example. Going back to my own practice, I help CrossFit athletes get rid of joint and muscle pain so that they can get back to working out again without any problems. And I also help women get back to working out without peeing their pants. So, physical therapy for CrossFitters and pelvic health. So, the second step that we need to figure out once we have a really clear niche and we know what it is that we're doing, who we're working with, how we're helping them, is figuring out what platform we want to use in order to create content. And so, like here in this video, we're talking specifically about Instagram, but honestly, at the time of this recording, it's probably one of the most effective platforms out there because it's one of the easiest to use. You might already be on Instagram. It's easy to create content on there. Like the barrier to entry as far as like learning the platform is pretty low compared to some of the more complex platforms. I would say like YouTube is probably more complex, but we've also seen it's been one of the most effective in terms of attracting ideal clients for the other practices that we have worked with. So at least at the time of this recording, Instagram is working really well, and I would say like compared to maybe like 5, 6 years ago, Facebook was doing really well. Like when I first got started, Facebook was a much bigger like part of marketing plans, but it's kind of fallen off over the past couple of years. So with that, pro tip here, continue to watch the trends over time because they can change, platforms can change, where your audience is might change. So make sure that you're continuing to like watch how things are going across platforms to figure out what is going to be the best platform for you. So in the future, it could change again, but at least right now, Instagram is a great place to start for all the reasons that I listed out. And typically most people are familiar with it and it's easy to connect with your audience. And I would even, venture to say we're going to be doing some videos here on YouTube soon on email marketing. Stick around, subscribe if you want to hear more about email marketing for your practice. But email marketing is super beneficial because it is the only platform where every time, you send out like an email blast, it goes directly to every single person in your audience and on your list. So every single person will see it versus when you post content on Instagram or on social media, at least your organic content, not everybody is going to see it. However, it does have the option of having private conversations, direct messages with everybody in your audience. So Instagram is a great way to make sure that you are touching base with every single person who is following you. Step 3. So now, we have figured out what our niche is, what our focus is going to be, what our marketing message is going to be. Step 2, we figured out, we're going to use the platform of Instagram to get started with here. And now, how are we going to use it? The most effective marketing plans, particularly with short form content, are going to be marketing schedules or content schedules, I suppose, that occur on a daily and weekly basis. So it's short form content and it's short periods of time where we need to be consistent. So we are going to need to make, this is what I usually recommend for people, is a monthly content template of exactly what you're going to be posting on which day, and then you're going to have to implement it. So making sure to put time into your schedule, either on a daily basis to create and post content, or time in your schedule to batch create content and then schedule it out into the future. So the monthly content template that has the exact posts for each day and each week of what you're going to be creating is one thing that we need to create. And the second thing is a content matrix, which I'll go over what that is. And the third is an idea bank. And I'll tell you about what that is too. So for the schedule for Instagram, we are looking at suggesting a posting frequency of somewhere between 3 to 5 times a week. If you are somebody who has not been posting on social media and it's something that's new to you, posting 3 to 5 times a week is probably going to feel a little bit daunting at first. So if it feels like too much right now, you don't have to start there. You can always start with just once a week. If you can maintain that consistently every week for 4 weeks, I think that's a great place to start to get used to putting content up there. But you are going to have to work your way up. Reason being, the typical lifespan of a post on Instagram is somewhere between 24 and 48 hours, at least the last time that I looked at the research. And what that means is when you go to post something on Instagram, people are going to see it in their feed. Your followers are going to see it in their feed for somewhere between 24 and 48 hours before it just kind of gets lost in the shuffle. And that's why it's important to make sure that you're posting 3 to 5 times a week, because then your company, your business, and you're always going to be showing up in people's feed on Instagram. If you, for example, are only posting once a month, nobody is ever going to see your business. And so it's going to be really hard for you to utilize content on Instagram in order to grow. So I would say, like, if you're going from posting once a week, a good first milestone is to get to a place where you're definitely posting 3 times a week and just keep maintaining that consistently. In order to see results from a lot of this strategy that we're talking about, and I guess implementation tactics, I want to encourage you to take on the mindset that this strategy, the Instagram strategy and creating content, is not something that's going to produce results for you next week. We're talking about maintaining consistency with content for 6 to 12 months, for a very long time, in order for it to be most effective. So as long as you go into it with those expectations and that mindset, it can be a really powerful tool. So going from maybe once a week to 3 times a week, I think would be great. If you can get to a place where it's 4 or 5, bonus, it'll probably be helpful. But anything past 5 times a week, what we've seen is not a huge increase in engagement or anything. So somewhere between 3 to 5 would be good. So we've got our schedule, right? And so going back to the monthly content template, every week you'll have planned out on the days, which days of the week you're going to be posting and what type of content you're going to be posting. We should see at least one reel and one carousel post per week. And if you're not sure what those are, just leave a comment down below. Those are going to help you get the most engagement because they are getting the most reach at this point. And then as far as planning topics, so we could operate off of what I call themes per day that you're posting, or use the content matrix that we'll talk about in a second and just go one cell at a time and use a different topic every day. So as far as themes could look like Sunday, maybe promoting your services, which honestly, is something a lot of us always forget about. We will create a lot of content that's very educational and helpful, but often forget to tell people that we actually offer services and how to contact us in order to use those services. So I think it's a good idea to sprinkle throughout your content information on the services that you offer. So just so people are aware. But that's a theme. Promoting a service, offering education is another one. So something helpful. Another one is telling a story about yourself or about a previous client. So telling stories is super powerful. And it's something that I always forget to do. And I'm trying to do a better job at it. Sharing stories about my previous journey and experiences, and also the stories of the different clients that I've worked with and where they started. And as a result of working together, where they are Now, here's an example because I just got an email from this person yesterday. I worked with a physical therapist named Corinne in Ohio. So, shout out Corinne if you hear this. And we started working together last year, I think last summer. And she wanted to start a performing arts physical therapy practice. And when she got started, like she was going through a ton of different like career transitions where she was trying out different jobs. She didn't like the job that she had. She started trying to pick up like PRN positions as well as she was transferring into working for herself. And just there was so much going on and so much chaos. And eventually, like we just ended up having her, get more into her business full time, which was scary, but she was able to do it. She had a very specific amount of hours per week that she wanted to be working with clients in order to be making, like a full-time income. And she just emailed me yesterday that over the past 2 months, she has been doing more than that. So she's been exceeding her monthly income goals every month for the past 2 months, which is really exciting. And, that might maybe to some of you, that sounds like a long time, that we started working together last summer. And at least right now, I'm recording this in August. But in the grand scheme of things, like a year is really not that long. So just imagine like where you could be a year from now. If you decided to start your practice and really put your all into it, your life could look totally different. Like imagine just seeing all of your favorite clients, like Corinne, wanting to work with performing artists just all day, every day. It'd be so fun. A little bit of a detour there with the story. But that's an example. And like I said, I need to do a better job sharing those stories. And I encourage you to make sure in your content that you're sharing stories like that. Another theme could be to offer a free resource. So I'm a big fan of having like free downloads on your website. That's something great that you can offer to your Instagram audience as well. And then another theme could be to share something personal. So, like something about you as a person, as a human, so people can get to know you. So, those are like different themes that you could use. So, like all those themes, I have it written down Sunday through Thursday, different themes that you could have. Or we could use a content matrix. So we could kind of use the themes in a way, but to help us come up with different topics and vary the topics throughout the week and throughout the month a little bit more. So a content matrix, the way that it works, and please leave a comment down below if you want me to make a specific video on how to set up a content matrix, because I think that could be helpful. You are going to open a spreadsheet. So even if you're not a spreadsheet person, that's okay. You can still use a spreadsheet to do this, or I guess maybe like a table in a Word doc or whatever. But you are going to set up the matrix in a table where the X axis is the themes, like the things that we just talked about. And the Y axis is something more specific. So, like topics related to whatever you offer and whatever your niche is. So, for physical therapy, things like mobility, stability, strength, nutrition, sleep, stress management, anatomy. And then you would fill in the cells where the X and Y match up. So, for example, promoting a service about mobility, offering education on strength, telling a story about a client's nutrition changes, things like that. And so it'll help you come up with a lot more like complex ideas and a lot more variety with your content. And the idea with the matrix is to potentially make it like create a new matrix on, I would say, maybe a quarterly basis so that you always have content ideas to discuss and you never sit down to actually like create the content and then you don't know what to make. And that's like probably one of the worst things when it comes to content creation. It's that you like block off a whole afternoon on a Sunday to sit down and make content and you actually sit down to do it. And then you're just like, I can't think of anything to make, which brings me to my last pro tip here, having an idea bank. So this has been incredibly helpful. But, we always have the best ideas throughout the week as we're going about life stuff and, working with clients. You'll be thinking and come up with a great content idea, but it's not the time to make it. So have a note on your phone, call it Idea Bank. And anytime you come up with an idea, a concept, a thought that you want to share in your content, just write it down in your Idea Bank so that when you actually do go to create content on Instagram or whatever other platform, you don't have to come up with ideas on the spot, but you already have an entire running list of different ideas of things that you want to make. And then you can just operate off of that. And it makes it so much easier to do like your ideation as one phase, and then planning as a second phase, and then your actual like execution and creation of content as a third phase. And that's always how I have really liked doing content. For example, like with these YouTube videos, I typically plan them all out on one day and then I'll film them either later that week or the following week. So I don't plan it and do it all at the same time because it's too overwhelming for me. So breaking it up into phases can be really helpful. So from here, we've talked about first 3 steps to starting to use Instagram for your practice and growing your caseload is 1, finding a niche. Number 2, figuring out what platform we're going to use, which obviously Instagram is what we're talking about. And then step number 3, creating a content schedule that's doable, realistic, and allows you to be really consistent with your content over a long period of time. And then as far as ideas, we talked about different ways to do that, whether it's theming the days or coming up with a content matrix to operate off of. So from here, we are just going to start posting. You need to not worry about it being perfect because it's not going to be. For a long time, your content is probably not going to look very professional. It might not even be very good. But the only way that we are going to get better at it is by practicing. And when you actually post the content, you can look at the actual insights on the post and figure out what the reach was, what the engagement was, and determine really with like the metrics that we get from the algorithm from the platform, what content is deemed good or not from objective measures. So we have to start somewhere. We're going to commit on your schedule to trying to create posts on Instagram, no less than 3 times a week if we can, or we can work our way up to that. And we are going to commit to doing 3 times a week for a minimum of 3 months. It has to become a non-negotiable part of your practice in order for it to be effective as a marketing tool. If you find yourself going through phases up and down, your results from this platform are also going to be up and down. So you have to put in the effort to keep it consistent if you want consistent results from it. And so, like I said at the beginning, I think Instagram is a great place to start because it's usually one of the easiest platforms to start creating content on. And once you are comfortable with this platform, this is where I also will start to usually walk my clients through what's called long form content. So video like YouTube, audio, the podcast, and written content, blogs, and maybe getting more into like the email marketing as well. But if you practice with something that's a little bit easier, you'll be able to basically graduate to more complex content and really beefing up your content game for your practice. We ultimately want you to create a content strategy that's continuous, consistent, and always happens without a doubt. Think about it like we're trying to build out a bonfire. So the content that we're putting up on Instagram is like kindling and we're using it to get the fire started. And then long form content, the bigger content is going to be the logs that we put on the fire to keep it burning for a long time after it's created. And lastly, a bonus tip. So getting into level 2. So all of that's kind of like level 1 content marketing on Instagram, and getting into level 2. Something that we are seeing work really well right now for building an audience on your Instagram is using boosted posts. I like to recommend that you start with, creating organic content. So that's you posting something to Instagram yourself. So we can see over time, maybe over the course of 2 to 4 weeks, what content is performing best, and whatever content is performing best, that's what we can use to boost it. It's going to help, obviously, with awareness and engagement because it's going to help us put that content in front of more people, but it's also going to help you create opportunities to have conversations with potential clients. So currently, my team and I are testing what I'm calling a power hour to help establish good content habits and convert inbound leads on our Instagram to paying clients. So I'm really excited to share the results with you, but I want to make sure that we're able to gather more data before we fully like deploy this as a strategy to try. So if that is something that you are interested in learning more about, please leave it in the comments below and make sure to subscribe so that when we release the video in the future, you will be notified. So there we have it. There's a ton more that we could definitely go into when it comes to Instagram, and there are lots of Instagram like gurus here on YouTube. So I definitely encourage you to search for more of that and see what other people in other industries are saying is really effective. But at least those are three really good steps to start with. If you are a practice owner and you're wanting to use Instagram to grow, follow these steps and get really consistent at creating content and engaging with the people who are following you. This is the, easy startup guide to Instagram marketing for your practice. So if you want help with marketing for your solo practice, please check out the playlist that we have here on the channel, and we'll leave the link down in the description. I'm always adding to it to help you the best that I can. And of course, if you want help starting or growing your solo practice and you just want somebody to be like, here's exactly what you need to do in order to do this over the next week, the next month, in order to build the practice of your dreams, if you want help, please reach out to me. Feel free to schedule a consultation, and we can always talk a little bit more about the way that I help people. But with that, I hope this was helpful. I know it's kind of just like an overview, and if it's something that you're interested in, we can definitely do a deeper dive into Instagram. But please let me know in the comments down below. Leave a like on the video, and that'll tell me that you want to hear more about this topic. So we'll plan to see you on the next video.